Welcome, one and all, to Funkatopia WTF. Welcome to Funkatopia. I hope all of you are doing fantastically well. Tonight, I have a very, very special guest that I am very excited to bring on, especially knowing the fact that she's right here in my backyard, like less than, I don't know, it's like about 15 miles away from where I am right now. So I'm very, very excited to have her on board. And many of you know her, or maybe you didn't know who she was, because she's been around for a very, very long time doing some fantastic, fantastic artwork. But many of you actually saw this particular mural that hit in Phoenix. And we're going to talk about this mural, but I've got a lot to talk about before we get here. So I want to welcome to the stage the one and only Maggie Keane. What's going on?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I am so glad that you're here. I'm actually probably going to switch, since we don't have Jeff on here. I can switch the view, and that actually makes it a lot better for you. So you're not actually
Okay,
having
cool.
How are you feeling tonight?
Pretty good. Cold. It was cold today.
Well, I don't know that it was that much. What's the temperature in Arizona? It seems like
Right now, it's been cold there too, but I think it's going up to the 70s lately, and that sounds pretty nice right now.
Yeah, it actually does, because you're actually in Georgia at the worst time. Now, I know I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but when you're actually out there painting a mural, which you're doing right now in East Point, Georgia, does this temperature really have a huge impact on how paint dries, or the actual, I mean, doing work outdoors just seems challenging in a variety of different ways.
Yeah, you got to be crazy. In Phoenix, if it's in the summertime or even close to the summertime, the paint dries on the brush before you even put it on the wall, and the paint dries in your palette. And so painting murals outside in the summer in Phoenix is not a good idea. But here, um, it's very chilly, but I'm in full sun, and that makes a big difference. I can lose a lot of layers. I can work in a t-shirt, and it's been pretty comfortable so far. But today it really took a plunge, and I only worked for a short time before I could not feel my fingertips. So
Oh my
had to
gosh,
get out of there.
that's got to be challenging. So let's go back a little bit to the beginning. I mean, how did you get started? How did you get started in art? I mean, when did you realize, hey, I am, I may have a knack for this?
Well, I always drew and painted and just got my hands into those kinds of things. And when I was really young, I thought everybody did that. Um, it wasn't until about eighth grade that a substitute art teacher came along and said, "Wow, you're pretty good. You ought to do more of this, and you should use that." And she really took an interest in me, and I realized that it was something I could do that came easily to me, because math didn't come easy to me. So it was about in my elementary school grades that I realized that I might have something I could do something with.
And I remember, I just put up a photo of a
Yeah,
horse,
it's
because
amazing.
if I remember the story correctly, one of the things that you were in class, they kind of gave you free reign to do whatever you wanted, and you were doing pictures of horses, and that's kind of how this kind of sparked. So, uh, and I see a lot of horses in your work.
Yeah, I love
I,
horses. Well, I admit it. I love horses. It's all I drew when I was a kid. Um, I rode a lot of horses. When I got into college, though, my painting teacher really wanted to steer me away from horses. Um, and he was an abstract guy. He wanted to see me loosen up. He wanted to see me explore different subject matter, which I agreed with. But there is nothing like the horse, and there's nothing like painting a horse. So one day I'll do a series of horses, because they're just the greatest things.
Yeah. Well, I also heard that at some point in time you actually went, and I'm actually putting comments up. I don't know if you can see the comments on the screen, but someone just asked, is that Yola's horse?
Yola. That painting, Yola was my best friend in high school who had horses, and that's where I learned how to ride, and I got my very acquainted with horses through Yola. She sadly passed away, and I miss her terribly. That was not Yola's horse. That horse's name was Radar, and he belongs to a woman named, um, oh, of course I'm going to forget her name, Charlotte in Phoenix. And he has since passed on. He was an older gentleman, but she wanted his portrait done.
Well, I know everybody's excited about this Prince mural that you're doing in Georgia, and again, this is a little bit further down, but I want to make sure that everybody knows here. I really want to talk to Maggie about all of her artwork and not just the Prince mural because she is just such an accomplished artist, and I love all of her stuff, and I want to kind of cover quite a bit while you're here. And I heard that you actually do dabble a little bit in sculpture. So, is that like a normal? Is that like something you still do, or is it something you went into? And
I haven't done it in a very long time, and I'd really like to do some more, but I used to do a lot of sculpting, and I really enjoy it. Painting just seems to be um, my main focus, but I really do enjoy sculpting, and one day I'll get back into doing some actual, clay and things like that. Um, I have built several things. Like I built a horse for a Halloween party. I have huge Halloween parties, and I build props for those, and that involves a lot of sculpting. So
Claudia said you should see her house during Halloween.
she's right. She's right. Yeah, I go a little overboard, and my husband is very frustrated finding places to store it. So it's great fun.
Well, and I also heard at some point in time that you were actually a court
Yep,
artist.
I'm a
So
court sketch artist. I'm still a court sketch artist.
really,
Yes, I only do it when they need me.
okay,
It's not a daily job the way it used to be. It's only in federal court. Before it was in all courts, and then in the 80s, at some point, um, they let cameras into superior court. So the only time I go in is if it's a high profile in a federal case. Then I go in and sketch.
what are some of the bigger court cases that you've
Well,
done?
well, the one you're looking at now is Jodi Arias. Now that was in superior court, and of course there were cameras, and so they didn't need my services, but I went anyway just so I could have some sketches from that case.
Gotcha.
But let's see, the big one of the Jared Loeffner, the guy who shot Gabby Giffords, was a big one.
Wow.
Um, Don Bowles from 1977 era. That was probably one like my, if not my first um, court sketch. That was the reporter that was blown up in his car. Um, let's see, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who he had a long 3-week trial. That was fun. Um, the FLDS trial, the polygamist
Mhm.
group that's in Arizona, that's in Colorado City and Hilldale, Utah. That was a big case. So yeah, they're pretty noteworthy.
That's amazing. And I also saw as I was kind of going through some of your artwork that you do a lot of caricatures and one of the things that I found funny is that you have your fair share of political type of
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
characters and whatnot.
I can't resist. How can you resist?
Like
Yeah.
you must
I
have like
mean,
go
the
ahead.
jokes write themselves, the caricatures draw themselves. Can't resist.
It's just and obviously
Mm.
there's some that are actually like short form like comics and stuff. Do you
Yeah.
have others that are a lot of like that are like this?
Yeah, I doodle them from now and then, and they're not published anywhere, but I just get a kick out of doing them.
Julie on me one is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, at my Halloween party this year, I made 12 giant flies, and they all had Giuliani's head on them, and they were all different expressions of his face. So had a dozen Giuliani flies in different locations at my Halloween party. It was a riot.
Now, were you just doing this for fun, or is it just kind of a scenario where there was a period of time where you were actually doing it to make ends meet?
What, these caricatures?
Yeah.
They never make ends meet. I did them for fun. I put them up in some shows. If anybody wanted to buy, um, I had some prints made. If anybody wanted to make a dartboard, they could buy a print, and there you go.
Well, you got a lot of activity. We got a lot of activity that's going to be coming up here in 2024. So you're going to have a lot more material to work with for sure.
Yeah, I would love to sit in on one of Trump's trials. I really would like to get into one of his trials and sketch him.
Well, if the Iowa caucus last night is any indication of what we can expect to see later in the year, you're going to
Crazy. I
have more
didn't
material.
see it, but I heard about it.
Oh my gosh, it was
Yeah.
it was pretty staggering. He was has a insanely dominant lead, and that
Oh,
makes no sense to
I
me.
it's so depressing.
Yeah,
So
it is.
depressing.
But I also know that you had at one point in time moved on. You actually did some work in billboards. Tell me how you actually got into doing billboards.
Well, I love to work in a large format. I did a lot of theater backdrops and large scale paintings, and I just someone gave me a business card and said, "Here's my friend's card. He's a billboard salesman, and they're looking for painters." So I went to the address and I brought some portfolio of my work, and the man there that ended up being my boss said, "I want to give you a chance. It looks like you could do this." So I ended up being a billboard painter for about, oh, I don't know, several years in the 80s.
So how long does a billboard take for you to make something like this?
Well, depending on the subject matter, yeah, it could take it could be very quickly, and we call those gravy jobs, or it could be 3 weeks.
Mm, that's long.
Yeah,
And I do, I never knew this. I mean, obviously they have digital billboards now.
yeah.
Um, do you do any work in digital, by the way?
No.
Okay. Because I don't remember who I was with. It was a friend of mine, and he knew somebody who owned a billboard company. And I didn't know
Mhm.
that they were made like this, that this is massive, massive warehouse. And
Yeah,
we went
oh
into
yeah,
the warehouse, and it's just a huge, insanely big canvas that's and taken
yes,
apart in
and
strips.
they're 14 by 48 feet. Yeah.
That's that's fantastic. I mean,
Before we had a shop, we worked outside, so it was crazy. And then they built us a building, so it was nice.
how do you get used to doing something at scale? I mean, I know that you can do caricatures and you can do
Mhm.
smaller 8.5 by 11 if you wanted to, but is there a specific mindset that you have to get into to kind of, back up and to kind of commit to making something that's that scale? I mean,
Well, in the billboard trade, you use a projector and you put the picture in the projector, and it's got to be dark. That you have to turn the lights off if you're in a building, or if you're outside, it has to be nighttime. And you project onto the wall or the billboard and trace everything in. And you trace everything. You just don't trace the head. You trace all these things that are around the eyes, and all these tiny little nuances in someone's face. You trace everything in, and then you paint from the photograph. So that's how I've been doing murals.
it's just the level of detail, not just the level of detail, even on a smaller scale, but
Hmm.
it's a level of detail, something as small as like an age line on an eight
Right.
and a half by 11 is
Yeah.
just, it's just massive. It's just, it becomes, it's
I
kind of
know.
like whenever I watch, was it Bob Ross? When I watch those, watch those old things where he kind of like does this like black slash or whatever, and you're like,
Mhm.
how is that even going to become anything? And then it just kind of,
They're shortcuts. What he does are shortcuts. They might look real, like from a distance. If you squint your eyes, it looks like a natural thing. If you get up on top of it, it's just shortcuts on top of shortcuts. And I don't really think that's painting.
well,
It's
and here's the
it's
other thing too. Nobody should buy a Bob Ross anything nowadays because from his, I guess the company that bought rights to him, that their family doesn't even get Bob Ross's family doesn't even get anything from
oh,
anything that has
no.
sales from Bob Ross. Yeah, I was watching a documentary. That's horrible news, but
Oh, yeah,
uh
I didn't know that.
yeah, you got to make sure that obviously your work is protected. Tell me about this piece here. This was such a really cool piece that I happened to
Oh,
find on your Facebook page.
wow. Um, there was a guy that bought some property that it was all storage units, and he was going to develop the storage units into art studios for people. So to kick it off, he had kind of an event where he invited artists to come and paint the doors. Actually, he just gave people a section to paint, and then he was going to then take the doors off and save them, and then the building was going to be demolished, and the doors were going to be put on either displayed or put on a newer building. They were pretty old. So I happened to be working at a place called the Ladybug House of Sandwiches. And so I chose to do a giant tableau of ladybugs, and I put my son in the middle there with a ladybug on his nose.
Well, so everything like the hair, the top of the head, and everything, that's all gone.
That's all gone.
That's all gone.
Yeah,
So it's
it's
just
just
the doors that exist.
only the doors exist.
Wow, that's fantastic. I read in an interview that you said, um,
Uh-oh.
I have no, nothing like that. That you had a computer file full of ideas. Now, I have a review folder that's on my computer. I have some stuff written down too, and I always look at it, and it always drives me crazy that I haven't gotten to some of these things yet.
Oh
What
yeah.
what ideas are in that maybe that come to the top of mind that are in your computer file that you keep seeing repeatedly that you would love to do at some point?
Well, like I said, I would love to do a series of straight up horses, you know,
Yeah.
and like, well, not like, rodeo pictures or anything like that, but just like the horse in general. Um, I also have a series of paintings that I have tons of pictures. Well, I have tons of pictures for a series of paintings to be started of dolls. I have a fascination with strange dolls, and most of them are inside plastic bags. And when I was walking through a thrift store, I saw a wall of dolls inside plastic bags, and they just looked so forlorn. They're in there, and they have happy faces, and they used to belong to some little girl, and now they're in a plastic bag, a cellophane bag,
Wait a minute.
hanging.
Is this one? Hold on a second. Is this one of the ones that
Yes, that was the first one of the series, and believe it or not, that painting got stolen.
What?
Yes, it was stolen right out of the gallery before they even had a chance to hang it, so it was never on display anywhere. Um, and I'm debating. I guess I should do that one again. I just love that painting. Um, so I'm thinking, I haven't recovered it yet, so I'm thinking I'd like to do that one again, and just have these poor dolls they look like they're pleading to get out from under this plastic bag. And it's kind of like a metaphor on the glass ceiling, you know. The
Yeah.
doll the doll was purchased, and some of them have career outfits on, and now here they are hanging in a thrift store in a plastic bag. It's kind of a sad testament.
Yeah. So the antique stores are even worse.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Some of those dolls, especially the ones that were not really, politically correct, and they're just
Mm,
some really unusual dolls and photos from especially from the 1800s into the early 1900s. It's really
Those
bizarre
those are the really nice Halloween dolls.
stuff.
The ones that are absolutely scary and they were not made to be scary. They were made to look like these innocent, children, and they're horrifying. I love them. I just love those.
So let's talk about how did you get into painting buses? This is interesting to me.
Okay, well, after billboard painters were replaced by vinyl, um, let's see, how did that develop? Um, the wife of one of my former billboard employers knew this person who was, and I think she worked for him as well. who was working on painting, having painted buses. And she said, "Oh, you got to hire you got to hire Maggie. Maggie, you got to talk to this guy about painting buses." So she put me in touch with him, and I talked to him, and he said, "Great, yeah, we need," because at the time they were doing the Phoenix Suns were the first set of buses that were being painted, and that's what introduced painted buses to Phoenix. And that was my very first painted bus. It was also the very first time that I ever used an airbrush because they all had to be airbrushed. So I said, I better go buy an airbrush. So that's the first time I used an airbrush to do Mr. Charles Barkley right there.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is, it just looks like a photograph. It's just unreal. So
Thank you.
what
I got to meet Dan Marley too. They came down for kind of an event that was happening at the arena with the buses. It was great.
so he actually got to so Charles got to see it and actually did he compliment you directly on it and everything?
Oh yeah, he gave me his autograph. I have a picture of myself standing in between him and Dan Marley. It's great. Well,
Oh
those
gosh.
were the days. But now, of course, buses are wrapped in vinyl.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I know that you have circus stories too.
Oh yeah.
This is intriguing to me that you started out doing circus trucks
Yeah,
and
I was hired to paint some trucks of a circus. Yeah.
yeah, this
And
is actually really cool. How many I mean, did you do this because from what I understand, you actually traveled with a circus for a period of time. So was there like, did you like do like a whole slew of truck art?
well, I did not a slew. I wouldn't call it a slew. I'd call it a few.
Okay.
Um, they had two or three trucks that needed to be painted. This is a different circus than the first one that I got started on. This is the only truck I did for the Vidbell Circus. It's this side and the other. I painted the other side as well. But that's how I met my husband. He was an acrobat, and that's not him.
That's I know that's not him. That was bad timing. My bad.
That's one of the clowns in the Vidbell show who asked me to do his portrait. So I was happy to do that.
Well, that's nice. So tell me about your husband. You said he was an acrobat.
He was an acrobat in the show that I was hired to paint the trucks the first time, and I ended up following along with the circus to work on these trucks, and then we met and started kind of a back and forth uh, communication because he was on the road, I was home, and I would go and meet him wherever I could, and then one thing led to another, and he got a contract for a circus in England, and invited me over there, and I spent the part of the summer of '93, I think, or 90, yeah, about '93 in England, and that's where I came up with the idea for. He wanted to put me in his act, and of course I'm just a painter, and I said no. Um, but then I got an idea when I saw he was doing a chair balancing act. I thought I could probably assist him in this act if I channeled Lucille Ball, and if I came up with a character and channeled Lucille Ball and just went for it. And so I did. Instead of the Vanna White ta-da kind of presentation, which I'm very uncomfortable doing, I had no trouble running out there and acting like Lucille Ball as his assistant. And so I spent 6 years doing that. It was fun.
Yeah, that's a good thing about Lucille is that you can take that nervous energy and you can make it into exaggerated motions. So
Yeah.
is there
Plus
any
red hair, you
there
know,
you
it's gone now, but I had red hair.
go. Is there any video of you and this and these
Yes.
performances? There are. Oh my
Yes,
god.
there are. Let's see. Um, you could probably look up. It would have to be under my husband's name, Jens Larson, Larson, chair balancing. You may find us there in YouTube.
I need some of my chat room producers to write that down and try to find it.
Yeah, there's a clip from a show in Japan that we were hired for. on a stage and on a theater in Japan where we did the chair balancing act.
I am writing that down so I won't forget. I am writing it down right now. There's a couple pieces that I saw that I really, really love, and
Okay.
they kind of present their own challenges.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of want a little bit of background to that. This one is phenomenal to me.
Yeah,
Um,
that was one of my Halloween props.
so it's just that 3D effect is just mind-boggling to me. You know how you just can be able to create some of the the visual looks of this.
Well,
Um,
that's the wall of my house, the outside wall of my house, and I built that figure out of mannequin parts and
nice.
hung it from the rafters of the house, and I got it as close to the house as I could, and then I painted it to match the brick. I had to keep running back and running forward and running back and running forward to line up the mortar lines just right. So yeah, that was a really fun Halloween prop.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, and I imagine that if you get the lighting right at nighttime, it's really
Yeah,
great.
and the table just below that is where all our food is arranged for people to eat, and people would be coming through and getting food, and they didn't even see that, and suddenly they'd look up and see it. It was great.
That's fantastic. Tell me about this TWRP mural.
Okay, well, it's twerp. Uh, stands for Tupperware Remix Party. I believe I believe you have the older version of that mural. That Yeah, my son got me into these guys. The two guys on the very left are a band called Ninja Sex Party, and the four guys to the right are Tupperware Remix Party. And when Ninja Sex Party tours, Tupperware Remix Party opens for them and also becomes their background band. When the other two guys come out on stage, they're the backup band. And they're from a combination of New Jersey and Toronto. So uh, my son was a gamer at the time, and a lot of gaming people are into this band because if you look up Game Grumps, you'll find the that singer there. You'll find him and his other partner. Um, but I thought they were very good musicians and also hilarious and fun to look at. So I just had to do a mural of them.
Yeah, I never heard of this band, but now that you've kind of
They're
told me,
incredible musicians, and the ninja keyboard player is a theoretical physicist, and he got to I think he got to retire and just do this, because they became so popular.
wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
we've had a lot of crazy bands in Atlanta. We had one that was called the Impotent Sea Snakes.
That's a good one.
They it was the owner of this club in Atlanta called the Masquerade, and it was his band, and they just had it was just all about just visual everything.
Those poor
I,
sea
I,
snakes.
just for everything from little people uh, dressed up as penguins throwing money out,
Wow.
people on stilts and
Mm.
heavy set women in bikinis throwing throwing champagne. It was like it was like an assault on the senses. There was so much going on. It was like so much to take in. So
Ooh.
I love bands like this that have that component where it's just like, all right, it's not just about and they were a good band too. So it wasn't just about the music. It was just
Yeah.
that visual component.
Yeah,
And
if the musicianship impresses me, I'm all for it.
oh yeah, absolutely. So let's move into the music side of things because I know a lot of people want to kind of fade into some of the how you got into doing specifically music legends and where
Mhm,
you got started. And I know this is an old sketch, but let's
mhm.
kind of start here.
Okay. Um, well, my father was a drummer. My brother is a drummer. Plus, he'll pick up and play whatever he can find. My mom plays piano and was a church organist her whole life. So music was always around. I never really got the discipline for playing an instrument. I was more visual, and I could draw till the cows come home, but sit and practice music, no. You know, I just didn't have the patience for it, which is unfortunate. I wish I did, because I love music. And what I would do if, as a bored teenager, I would go to my dad's band practices. He played the timpanis in a symphonic band, and I would just sit and draw everybody. And it was really good practice for court sketching because I, learned all kinds of spatial and perspective stuff and drawing what everybody's doing and their faces and their hands and things like that. And I, I just, I when I appreciate a musician, it's kind of my way of giving back to them is doing a painting of them or doing a mural of them to um, show them how much I appreciate what they do.
Yeah, I just love the, whenever you do murals and these types of pictures that kind of have pictures on top of pictures,
Mhm.
you just do it so well, and I imagine that just takes um, a lot of focus and concentration to be able to figure out, okay, where is this person going to fit into on top of this person in relation to where this person is, and
Yeah,
uh,
sometimes you develop organically and you're not really planning it out at all, you know. I'd like to get into doing more of those. I haven't done, a combo type of overlaid picture like that in a while.
yeah, it's definitely. How long ago was this photo or sketch?
Oh, 80s, sometime in the 80s. I
Wow,
think.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
And I saw
My
that you did a little bit of a shout out to Aha
my
here.
love band. I love that song. In fact, that was the song that got me into the whole ninja sex party thing because my son came up to me and said, "Mom, look at these guys do this song." And they did a cover of Take on Me. And I just kind of scoffed, said, "Oh, nobody can do that song as good as Aha." But they did. Ninja
Ah,
Sex did an excellent cover of Take on Me. And I was incredibly impressed. And that's how I got into them in the first place. But yes, my favorite video, my favorite song, I have to admit.
yeah, that video was very, very groundbreaking in a lot of different ways. I mean, it kind of took the world by storm because MTV, for the most part, had been doing, a lot of, generic videos, and there was a lot of live footage and whatnot. But I think Aha was one of the first bands to really commit to doing this full blown
Yeah, that whole
animated.
rotoscoping thing is really cool.
Yeah, it was just crazy. I mean, the way that they incorporated live in
Yeah,
it's there's
yeah.
still no video that was ever done like this.
No, it's the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, Tom Petty.
That was a commission for a big Tom Petty fan. Yeah,
Well,
that's a big one too. It's a big painting.
that is, I mean, again, another one of these pictures where if you kind of just stare at it for a minute, it's
Mhm.
like just like a photo. Now, is this was this actually done by a photo, or were you actually? Because I don't think I've ever seen. I haven't seen a bunch of photos of Tom Petty, but
I found the photo. It's the one she wanted. Only he was wearing a brown jacket, and she wanted him in a blue jacket. But I actually found the name of the photographer and sent them a message and got permission. Well, I paid a licensing fee to do that painting, to use that photo for that painting.
wow, it's just such phenomenal work. It's just I
Mhm.
can't just
Those
breathtaking.
are oils. Those are oils. The murals I do are in acrylics and latex, and those are oils. You can go a long way with oils.
Yeah, it's just I guess there's just so much depth and you can add so many different layers. It's pretty amazing. And speaking of murals, let's talk
Uh-huh.
about this David Bowie mural.
Yeah. Um, that wall, the house on the other side of that wall, that's my street, by the way. It's right at the end of my street. So the people that lived in that house were, our neighbors, our friends. And he just built that block wall and came and knocked on my door. and said, I just built a block wall and I want you to do a mural on it to keep it from being tagged. I said, okay, I'll do that. But I was busy doing lots of other things, and I would just drive by that wall every day and go, what should I put there? What should I put there? I just had no idea for the longest time. And then David Bowie died, and that was the answer. I just knew right away I had to do a tribute.
Oh my gosh, it's just. I mean, how long did that wall take you? There's a couple things to this. The first being, um, first off, was the guy in the house a David Bowie fan? He was like a huge Bowie fan, or
Yeah, well, he didn't really care what I did. So I told him what I was going to do, and he said, sure, that would be great. Yeah. And it gets a lot of attention, which is good. It's also good for the little business that's there on the corner. But
yeah,
that,
it's
well,
just
yeah, that mural took 13 days.
wow. That just that section or the entire mural.
The entire mural.
Wow, you did this entire thing in 13 days.
Yes.
Wow.
Not in a row, because there were days in between that I didn't work at all because of either heat or having to do something else. You know what I mean? I didn't have a deadline, in other words.
Right.
But I counted each day that I spent on it, and it added up to 13 of them.
Wow.
And that other Bowie wall that you saw with the three heads, we had a party at the big wall when I finished it, and there were lots of people that would stop by while I was working on it, and I I made a lot of new friends, one of whom commissioned me to do that on his wall at his house.
Man, that's just beautiful work. And speaking of where I looked this one, speaking of tagging,
Oh yeah, it happens.
so this is at Athens, where? Athens, Georgia, or Athens? There's a lot of Athens.
What?
Where is this mural at? This
That
one.
mural that mural is in Phoenix, Arizona, where I live.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Athens. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah. No, no, no.
So,
Oh, I said it happens.
oh, happens. Sorry. Yeah. So on the left, we kind of show some work here, but on the right hand side, I
Mhm.
guess you were in the middle of this and it got tagged.
No, it had been up for a couple of years already. You can see how it faded.
Yeah.
Uh, and it had been fading, and I was thinking I've got to get down there and brighten that up. And when I was working on the Aha mural, someone came up to me and said, your Bowie wall just got tagged. So as soon as I was finished with Aha, I ran down there and took a look at that and took care of it. And I ended up going over each head and brightening them up, except for the black and white ones. They didn't really need it. But yeah, that was some metallic silver spray paint, and you can't paint over metallic spray paint; it doesn't stick. So I had to sand it first, and
Um,
then yeah, I don't like taggers.
yeah, that's because you work for weeks on a piece of art, and then someone comes up over in a period of 15 minutes and does this little.
You're supposed to tag murals. I mean, that's why he had me do that mural, so the wall wouldn't get tagged. And yeah, you never know.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying. So here's a little bit of a
Mhm.
little segue. We're going to segue here into prints here, but this is a little bit of a Bowie print scenario. Tell me about this.
This was a commission for someone's backyard. She wanted these particular images in that particular style where it's real simplified. There's it's not the colors are not blended at all. And to the left of David Bowie now, there's a Dolly Parton. She had me add. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
someone's backyard.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty awesome to be in someone's backyard, though. My wife would kill me, but we don't have a wall. If we had a wall there, I probably would do it.
Yeah, well, build a wall.
Right. There you go. Let's build a wall. I'll have to check my HOA. Uh, so
What could they do for the inside of your backyard? Really?
yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, so let's talk about it. The big one. Obviously, this is not that it's any more fantastic than all of your other fantastic artwork, but this obviously got the attention of the Prince community massively. This is, for those who don't know, this is a mural that is located in Phoenix at the Rodriguez Boxing Club. And tell me about, the commission to do this, what, the ideas that you had in your head to kind of process this and how long it
Well,
took, all that.
long before Prince passed away, I wanted to do a mural of him. Um, and I was scouting buildings. It took about 3 years of scouting buildings and doing designs and changing things around. And then when he died, uh, that was the biggest shock to me. I just about fell out of my chair. So it became even more urgent to find the perfect place to put a Prince mural. So the building it's on now, at the time, already had something painted on it. There was like a mandala design on it, and the wall was a rust color. And it's right across the street from where I used to get my hair done. So, and I would talk to the girl that did my hair about where can I put Prince, where can I put Prince, and we would brainstorm, and we'd look right across the street, and we'd go, look, that would be the perfect spot. And then one day, I was I was there and I said, look over there, that building, it is now purple. They painted over the mandala and the entire building was purple. So I went over there to see who was in there. It was being rented by a print shop. So Prince was painted on a print shop, which I thought was kind of funny. Um, I said, I want to paint Prince on this building. So he put me in touch with the owner, and the owner, I showed him my David Bowie wall, and he said, that would be okay by me. He said, you know how many people come and ask me if they could paint on a mural on my wall, and I send them away. The mural and the wall is a really good location. It's at a triple intersection where two roads of traffic come and stop at the same time, and everybody can see this. And it's in the artsy district of Phoenix. So he said, that would be okay by me. Go ahead and do Prince. But it was not a commission. It was I wanted to do it. So am I going to make any money? We'll see. So a record store, a guy that owned a record store right across the street, came over and helped me put together a GoFundMe. So we raised some money that way for materials and things like that to get the mural painted. I was so happy to finally put Prince up.
This is it. Every the more I look at this mural, I
Mhm.
keep seeing new things.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
the silhouette above the section where he's got his glasses from the Purple Rain era.
Yeah.
Um, what was the idea, or when did the glasses come into the idea? Was that at the very, very beginning, or were you just kind of
The glasses was at the beginning, and I sort of held it as I better do this fast because I bet someone else is going to beat me to it. I thought it was a no-brainer. If someone were to do a Prince mural, they would stick mirrors on it because it was a no-brainer. To me, it was. And I guess nobody else had done it till now. So, and if somebody else does it, that's fine. It's I'm glad to have started a trend. But yeah, I wanted to kind of keep those a secret. After I finished the mural, we put a huge drape over it because it's about 18 feet high by 47 feet long. And a friend of mine and I got together and we made she sewed together a giant drape out of parachute fabric. And we just covered the whole thing. And everybody that had been coming by as I was working on it said, but I've already seen it. I've already seen it. You mean I'm going to have to come see it again? I've already seen it. But while the drape was on, we had those glasses attached. Some friends of mine welded a frame to the back of the mirrors and got underneath the curtain and bolted them to the wall. And then when the curtain dropped. It was a big surprise. It was just so great. So
Man.
much.
So I guess what the exciting news is that I guess tell me exactly. Well, let's talk for a second about let's talk about Shining Light Foundation and exactly how they are involved in this process, and as far as getting you to Atlanta to try to do a Prince mural here in Atlanta. Give me a little bit of background about Shining Light.
Okay. Well, Shining Light Foundation was started. Do you remember when the words Black Lives Matter were being painted on streets?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the founder of Shining Light Foundation, Gisette Knight, wanted to do that in Phoenix. And when she approached the city of Phoenix about painting Black Lives Matter on the street, they turned her down and they weren't very nice about it. So she decided for Black History Month, there's 28 days in Black History Month, that she would do 28 murals of unsung Black heroes. In addition to, very famous Black heroes, people that have made incredible contributions to society. And she was going to find some artists to do it. And a lot of us, we all volunteered that year to do this because we thought that was a really good idea and I want to be a part of it. So the person that was going to do a mural, there was a person that was going to do a mural who dropped out, and she got my name and contacted me, and I ended up doing Diana Ross, Whitney Houston, and Aretha Franklin. And ever since then, she's had me do several more of her Black History Matters murals. So the next year, her project took off so well. The following year, she got some sponsors and was able to hire us instead of us volunteering. So I did some more murals, and then she started branching out into Dallas, Atlanta, and Los Angeles with this project. So she came to me and said, "We want to do a Prince mural in Atlanta." I said, "Okay, I'll do it."
Man.
So here I am.
And I am so excited about this mural that and obviously you're not replicating the same mural
It's
that is in
it's
Phoenix.
small- it's a smaller building. It's a more of a compressed, and you see that the Prince symbol
Yes.
on the mural. That's a downspout from a gutter. It's like there's a like a pipe that comes out and a downspout. And I didn't know what I was going to do with that downspout until the very last minute when I decided to make it into a symbol. So this building does, the one in Atlanta does not have a downspout, but I did put a symbol in it.
Let's see. Arlene has a question. She says, out of the thousands of photos of Prince, how did you choose the ones that you did?
Well, uh, my favorite era, of course, is Purple Rain. I know that bores Purple Rain, but it really is. I love that music. I love the movie, and I wanted to get um, as many different of his styles as much as I could. Um, there's so
Yeah.
many to choose
Yeah.
from that you could just go crazy, pun intended,
Yeah.
to get everyone in there. And I just wanted to have like the David Bowie mural. I kind of relied on what I liked, you know.
There's a lot of it. I mean, obviously there is a lot of, shout outs to Purple Rain in there. I mean, with the purple jacket, with the glasses, that's from the inner sleeve, the silhouette that's in there. But I do see the
Hmm.
the third eye girl in the background. I see all those
Hmm.
things. So it's really, really cool to see all that. So
Thanks.
where exactly in East Point is this happening?
It is at Brownie's Cleaners on Main Street. I think the address is 3165 Main Street.
So when is do you have a date as far as the planned unveiling?
Yes, it's February 3rd. There are two murals being unveiled that day. One of them is over by City Hall. It's a Robert Smalls mural being painted by someone else, and the event is going to start there and then move over to the Prince mural. And there's going to be live music, there's going to be food, there's going to be speakers. It's going to be a big event on February 3rd. You'd have to look at Shining Light Fund, Shining Light FND, and you'll find all the information.
Well, I can tell you, I am confident that Funkatopia will be there. We will be
Good.
there on site to make sure that we cover this unveiling. So for all of you folks that are all over the country that would love to see this unveiling when it gets unveiled on February 3rd, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we're there and that we cover it for you. And I am just, I am beside myself. I am so excited to have you on board. You're just such a legendary artist. You've been doing this for so long. You've done a
Yes, so long. My hair used to be red.
I mean, it's, and you've done such fantastic work, and it's such an honor to have, you know, an artist of your caliber kind of, you know, showing, you know, doing the work that you're doing to honor Prince and on these murals.
I'm really honored to be here in Atlanta, doing this mural for you guys.
I wish the weather were better for you. I honestly do.
It has not been bad, you know. When I'm out in the sun, it's been pretty good. But boy, today was cold, you know, and rainy days are days off. So hopefully there won't be too many more of those. I'm seeing some pretty good weather coming up in the next week.
Yeah. Well, I hope for all the best weather to come your way so that you can, you know, you don't want to, you know, obviously miss the deadlines or whatever. But yes, we will be there on February 3rd. We'll make sure of it. And again, it is such an honor to have you here, ladies and gentlemen. Maggie Keane, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And we so look forward to the unveiling of the new mural, which will be happening on February 3rd. Thank you so much for joining us. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
All right. Thank you so much. And we'll make sure this interview is available for everybody. If you missed any part of it, you can feel free to listen on Spotify and iHeartRadio and all that stuff starting tomorrow on audio. Of course, this is a very, very visual part. So probably want to stick to Facebook and YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, Maggie. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was the one and only Maggie Keane. Man, unfriggin' believable. And also shout out to Karen Higginbotham. Thank you so much for making that connect for me. I know a lot of people have been trying to connect. There's been a lot of people that have been in and out of the mix trying to put me in touch with her so that we can make sure that we got her on the show. And man, come on. Are you serious right now? That's fantastic. She is unbelievable. And the artwork, I mean, I also wanted to tell you too, before you guys go, that you can go to funkatopia.com/Maggie, Maggie. Again, that's funkatopia.com/Maggie, Maggie. And you will be taken to her Facebook page, which should have all of the information on there regarding Shining Light, regarding the unveiling. You can see all of her previous artwork on there in the photo section and everything. She's most active on Facebook, but she also has an Instagram page. She has a bunch of different things, all of which you can get to from funkatopia.com/Maggie, which will take you to Facebook first, and then you can kind of navigate from there. So let me go ahead and thank you guys all for tuning in for the interview with Maggie Keane. And let's get to the news right now. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Let's talk a little bit about a little bit of everything. We're gonna there's so much going on. I don't even know where to start. First off, let me go ahead and wish a very, very happy birthday, a happy 65th birthday to the one and only Sade. I tried to do an innocuous happy birthday to Sade. But it seems that we've gotten to a point, the Funkatopia has gotten to a point where everything that I post is under intense scrutiny. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's just, I guess it's just par for the course. I'm not going to please everybody, so I just kind of just shrug my shoulders and go, whatever. But basically, I said, "Happy birthday to Sade. Is it a crime that she looks so amazing at 65?" Making note to her song, "Is it a crime?" And then I got accused of objectifying her. That I used an earlier photo that wasn't a current photo where she looks older. It's like I was just like, okay, I'm just trying to wish her a happy birthday. Do we need to have all the extra drama with it? Just okay. Just okay. Never mind all that. Just move on. Happy birthday to Sade. Just happy birthday. Leave it at that. Happy birthday, Sade. Is that so difficult? Oh my gosh. But again, as I said before, this has been this is par for the course. Do I have any football fans out there? Anybody? I know this we're kind of always hardcore focused on music, but are there any football fans out there? There's got to be some football fans. I mean, everybody that is in my family and extended family are fans of teams that are out of the mix. You guys have seen me with Falcons stuff all over here. I wear Falcons jerseys. I have Falcons hats. Whatever. Falcons were out of the mix from the get-go. I have family who are huge Steelers fans. They got their feelings hurt. I got people who are huge Dolphins fans in my extended family, and they got but man, what an insane football weekend. Even if you're not a football fan, you should visit NFL.com and just look at all the drama that has unraveled as a result of this playoff shakeouts. I mean, the Cowboys were like expected to go really, really far. Maybe not all the way to the Super Bowl, but really, really far. And they just got stomped by the Green Bay Packers. I mean, stomped, which prompted the Cowboys to fire their coach, Mike McCarthy. Then, of course, you had Bill Belichick, who walked away from the Patriots, said, "Hey, I'm done." Alabama's Nick Saban walked away. It was crazy. The Philadelphia Eagles got beat by Tampa Bay last night. And then after that, Jason Kelce, who is Travis Kelce's brother, and he plays defense on the Philadelphia Eagles. He was frontline. He decided that he's retiring. He's done. You know what I learned? Here's what I learned. I did not know this, and maybe some of you guys knew this, but Prince is not a fan of Philly, like at all. I don't know if it's a Philadelphia Eagles thing or if it's just the town, but I was not aware of this. But I found a clip, thanks to Baron3121 on Twitter. I found a clip of a rehearsal of they were doing a rehearsal of the future, I think it was. And it's a little clip in the middle, and Prince is talking about no love for Philly. Here, I'll play it for you. Here, check us out.
We're in Chicago.
Let's play LA because Lisa's from there.
LA? All right. Los Angeles. I hate Philly. We're not playing Philly ever. They won't even see the fumes of this tour.
What? Philly said, "I hate Philly. They won't even see, we will never play Philly ever. They won't even see the fumes of this tour." What? I'm pretty sure that was, things changed because I'm pretty sure he's played Philly. I know that I have bootlegs of him playing Philly. So, but wow. I never heard that clip. Actually, I think I have heard that clip, but I didn't focus in on the anyways. Anyway, so if you're a football fan, man, it's been a very, very entertaining past week, and just the movement all around. And I'm not going to talk about I'm not going to talk about football beyond this, but I will say Bill Belichick, who was the head coach for the Patriots, that came to Atlanta and beat Atlanta in the Super Bowl with that insane comeback, which will forever haunt Atlanta Falcons fans for the rest of eternity. Bill Belichick may be coming to Atlanta. I honestly don't know how I feel about it. It's just like, I don't know how I feel about that. I could do a parallel in relationships and make it pretty raunchy, but I won't. Hey, remember that guy that, he's going to live with you now. Anyways, I don't know how I feel about that. And this is all I'll say about this. I want you guys just to be temporarily terrified just for a second. This is the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to move into music, and print stuff too. I am terrified as a result of, and I mentioned this when I was talking with Maggie, what happened to the Iowa caucus last night, because for those who did not see or who don't, most people like myself don't even pay attention to politics until it's forced down our throat on TV as it gets closer to November, and it becomes a nightmare where like every other commercial is just trash talking garbage. And it's horrible. It literally is horrible. But they do this thing called a caucus where they go state to state to kind of gauge how many people are going to vote for whoever your Republican candidates are and whoever your Democratic candidates are. And on the Republican side, get ready to be terrified. Donald Trump has 51% of the Iowa Republican caucus. The closest is Ron DeSantis with 21. Not even half of what Donald Trump has. It's insane. It's insane to me. So I just wanted to terrify you guys just for a little bit to kind of give you an idea of what 2024 and 2025 may look like coming forward. Because unless something unbelievable happens and somebody comes out of the woodwork, like Michelle Obama announcing that she's going to run, or Jon Stewart announcing that he's going to run, or something amazing happened on the Democratic side, or some other type of landslide, obvious Republican candidate that comes out of the woodwork, it's terrifying. It's just... anyways, all right, let's talk about music. I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's too much. I don't want to talk about music now, but let's talk. Me, I love books and I love reading books, and I happen to find another one that I love to talk. I'm loving this book so far. I think you guys will too. If any of you guys are a fan of The Roots, the one and only Tariq Black Thought Trotter, aka Black Thought, from obviously The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, The Roots. Tariq Trotter, he has his own book called The Upcycled Self, and it's his bio, and it is fantastic so far. You want to pick it up, I would highly suggest picking up. It's got some really insane stories. I mean, he burned down their family house. It was like just the trauma and everything this guy has been through is unreal, and it's got some really, really great stories in it. Definitely check it out. If you're interested in this, Black Thought is BT for short, obviously, is the acronym for it. If you're interested in checking this out, go to funkatopia.com/BT for Black Thought and check out this book. It's really, really good. I highly suggest it. It reads really, really well. It's not, it will be a weekend read for most of you. If you're an avid reader, you can get through this in a weekend, but it's really, really cool. Check that out. So, let's see. I've got some messages on my phone. Maggie just texted me and she said, by the way, and this is, I guess I'm going to put the word out here for you. By the way, if you know any welders who would like to help attach the mirrors to a frame and anchor it to a wall, let me know. So apparently there's going to be mirrors involved in this mural. So welders, let's talk about it. Know any welders? Anybody? Any welders going on? We'll see. All right, let's talk about. I like all types of music, and I think you guys are all on the same page with me too. I mean, everybody listens to a variety of different things and variety of different music and whatnot. Any Hiatus Coyote fans out there? For those who don't know who Hiatus Coyote are, they are phenomenal band, but they're like a musician's band. They're they have a really, really great fusion sound, and it's very intricate and it's very detailed, and it's just a lot going on. Hiatus Coyote is pretty phenomenal. I am very excited to hear that on the 23rd, which is next Tuesday, by the way, they actually have a brand new album coming out, and I'm pretty excited about it. Actually, I wanted to play a little bit of a video that they've put out, because apparently this doesn't look like anywhere in the United States. This looks like somewhere in Europe. And maybe if I paid close attention, I'd be able to figure out where it was at. But this is a video that they posted on Facebook, and check this out. This is really, really cool. This is, I guess the name of the album is called Everything's Beautiful, and it's coming out the 23rd, but check out, let me see, hopefully I can get the sound going here. Let's check this out.
Yes,
Okay. So that's a little taste of Hiatus Coyote, and their new album is coming out next week. It's coming out on the 23rd. I'm really looking forward to it. And if you've never seen Napalm, who is the lead singer and bassist, that insane bass and everything that you hear, that's Napalm that's actually playing. And she's intriguing to look at too, because she's got chains and piercings and tattoos, and she's very, very visual person. So very, very cool. Anyways, Hiatus Coyote, brand new album coming out the 23rd called Everything's Beautiful. I'm going to check that out. It's going to be, Chris said, I feel like that is London. I probably would agree. I would probably think that's London also. That's kind of where I got the vibe from, was it felt like London, because it was a double-decker bus. Matter of fact, if I were to reshare that screen right now, there's a double-decker bus, which is very London-y for sure. All right. Another thing is that what's really cool is that Janet Jackson, I don't know if many people probably knew this already. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm always behind on some of these announcements, but Janet Jackson has announced that she is going to be doing a second part to her tour, and it's going to be this summer, and it's going to feature special guest Nelly as well. And this is Janet Jackson's post, and it says, "Hey, you guys, by popular demand, we're bringing the Together Again tour back to North America this summer with special guest Nelly, and tickets actually go on sale on front." So if you happen to miss Janet Jackson on the last tour, she's coming back again this summer, and she's going to be hitting Atlanta again too. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, this is actually, surprisingly enough, is one of the artists that is on my bucket list. I've never seen her live, so I feel like I need to. I'm trying to get all my bucket list bands out of the way. That's the reason why I bought a ticket to the Rolling Stones, which is, I've never been like a massive Rolling Stones fan, but I kind of feel like this is like one of those legendary bands that you have to see and witness and take in and absorb. And so I did it. And so I'm going to go see the Stones here in Atlanta, but this is another one. This is going to be happening in July in Atlanta, but they're going to be, Janet and Nelly are going to be all over North America. And even though it says that tickets go on sale on the 19th, if you sign up on her website, if you go to janetjackson.com, I think that's the website. If you go to janetjackson.com, you can actually sign up for her email list, and you should have access to get tickets starting tomorrow, Wednesday, the 17th at 10 o'clock. And if that doesn't work, you can also sign up for the Spotify. If on Spotify, you follow her on Spotify, Spotify will send you an alert for another pre-sale that's happening on Thursday at 10. So that Friday at 10 that she's referring to is for general admission. At that point, or general sales. So that point in time, most of the good tickets will be gone. Everything would be gone right now. So I don't know. I see people who keep asking me about this Jamiroquai shirt. Believe it or not, I've admitted this before. My daughter was walking around the mall in Mall of Georgia, and I just kind of whenever she does that, she kind of brings her friend and they walk around the mall for a couple hours. So I just put my headset in and I just kind of just walk around the mall and just end up in whatever store might have the slightest bit of interesting stuff in. And I happened to wander into a Hot Topic, had no plans whatsoever to purchase anything from Hot Topic because all the stuff, 80% of the bands that are on the wall are like, I have no idea who that is. I literally have no idea who that is. And then I happen to look up on the wall and I see Jamiroquai, this shirt. And I was like, what is Jamiroquai doing on the Hot Topic wall? So I was like, all right, I'm intrigued. Let me see if they have my size. And I looked and I saw it and I was just like, okay, I guess I'm buying a Jamiroquai shirt from Hot Topic. So that's what happened. That's where I got the Jamiroquai shirt from. So, and if you are a Jamiroquai fan, just know you can actually go onto YouTube or go onto SoundCloud. And I actually interviewed Jamiroquai, the whole entire band, except for Jay, a whole entire band. I interviewed Jamiroquai on Funkatopia years ago, and which is a pretty amazing land. I mean, I wasn't nearly the size that I am right now, but they were just like, yeah, let's do it. Same way with Brand New Heavies. It was like, they were like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, what's happening here? This is amazing. Anyways, so that's all pretty awesome. That all to say, I have some pretty amazing interviews. I've interviewed some amazing Robert Cool Bell from Cool and the Gang. I mean, it's just, I think of all the people that I've interviewed, and Bootsy Collins, I've interviewed a lot of people. It's been pretty freaking amazing. So go back in time. Anyways, Janet Jackson, North American tour this summer. Sign up on her website, janetjackson.com, and you probably will get the pre-sale code to get tickets tomorrow if you're interested in doing it, or go to Spotify and click follow, and they'll probably send you a pre-sale code to do the pre-sale on Thursday. Or you can just overspend and get the resale tickets for 3 times the price. That's all there is to it. All right. I find, I'm always find it really, really entertaining when rappers kind of and hip hop artists kind of take swipes at each other. But normally it's just kind of innocuous. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's just whatever. But I found this really, really funny clip from Yassine Bey, aka Mos Def, talking about Drake to Azari, and I thought it was hilarious. So I wanted to play you this clip because it's pretty funny to me how, when he's asked specifically about Drake and how he feels about Drake's music, and the way he said it, it just makes me laugh. So I'm going to share this with you. This is Yassine Bey, aka Mos Def, talking about Drake. Listen to this. This is hilarious.
Like, is Drake hip hop?
Why are you doing this to me?
Drake is pop to me, in the sense like if I was in Target in Houston and I heard a Drake song, it feels like a lot of his music is compatible with shopping.
Commercial music.
or it's
Commercial music, yeah.
shopping with an edge in certain instances.
Fair. I like Drake's music, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Of course, I mean,
It's
I get
commercial, entertaining, fun, good,
It's
formulaic music.
it's likable.
Likeable music, yeah.
It's likable.
But is it? I'm gonna leave you alone. We're gonna move on.
Woo! So many products.
So many SKUs.
So many SKUs. Look at all these SKUs. Oh, so many products.
So much merchandising. So many barcodes.
I love this mall. Look at this place. I mean, look at this place. They have everything. Everything's here. They have everything here. Oh, this is great. This is a new Drake. You hear it? It's great. Okay. What happens when this thing collapses? What happens when the columns start buckling? Are we not in some early stage of that at this present hour? Are we seeing like the collapse of the empire? Buying and selling, where's the message that I can use?
Right.
What's in it for your audience apart from like banging the pom-poms?
That is that goes, yeah, that you got to understand the point of this, and here, and this is why I played that clip, because Yassine has a very interesting point, because as times change, and this is the segue over to the Purple Rain Broadway thing that we're going to be talking about. Okay. And we're not going to go into a whole bunch of detail. If you missed the show that I did a impromptu Friday show this past Friday, where I talked not only about the Prince Broadway show, we also showed some of the excerpts from the New Yorker magazine article talking about John Jacob Jingle. I don't know what the guy's name is. That's rewriting this the Purple Rain Broadway show, and some of the I'll just go ahead and say it. I mean, whether or not this pans out and it actually happens, I don't know. But some of the quote unquote woke changes that he was going to be making. And when I say woke changes, basically, I'll just kind of give you the two examples that the New Yorker writer saw that had been committed to paper. Whether or not they committed to the actual Broadway play is a whole different thing. But one of them was that Apollonia was not going to be the scorned mistress. She was going to end up being the leader of some women's empowerment group, totally changing the alter. I mean, it's great. If you got a better ending for the story for Apollonia, that's fine. But she's, you would assume that she ends up with Prince at the end of the story. It is what it is. But then the other part where Prince sings Darling Nikki and he's scorning Apollonia for choosing Morris Day over him, and then has he gets canceled. He ends up the recipient of a bunch of angry text messages from, I guess, fans and whoever else, and he ends up getting canceled. Those were two of the proposed adaptations that were going to be happening with this Purple Rain Broadway musical. Now, the Broadway musical does not exist yet. Okay. It's not, as far as I know, it's not been casted. I've seen some weird clips on Twitter and I don't know what to make of anything. Sometimes you see these clips and they go, look, it's already underway. They're already casting. Here's a clip. And it's like, what is this? Well, I don't understand what I'm watching. So I don't know what to take as reality and what to not take as reality. And so I don't want to speak on that until there's some type of, I don't know, some type of semblance of reality of what that is. But I played this at the beginning of the show while we were figuring out Maggie's technical difficulties. Because one of the things that caused me, because I was obviously agitated by it, being that I was a teen in the 80s, and I was 15 when Purple Rain came out, and I remember seeing that movie. God, I don't even know how many times I saw it in the movie theater, but I kept seeing it repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again. I've got it on VHS. I've got it on DVD. I have it on Laserdisc over here. I'm not friggin' kidding you. I have it on Laserdisc right over there, and I don't even have a Laserdisc player. So I am a huge fan of this movie, even though it's cringy in moments, even though I don't care. It's an iconic film. And so I have a certain, it really kind of hits me a certain way that they're planning on taking this film and doing the things that they're doing to it, that my knee-jerk gut reaction is like, what are you kidding me right now? I can't stomach it. In fairness, the play has not been finalized and written yet, and I've heard a bunch of different things. I've had people pleading their cases on, you should leave this guy alone. He's been known to make changes all the way up until the musical hits the stage, and so he's always making adjustments, trying to please me, blah 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 blah. I'm like, all right, but the fact that was even written down on paper is cause for alarm for me as a purist of all things Prince, things that he's worked so hard to craft and so hard to create, and the amount of attention to detail that he goes into in order to, before he hands over anything to the general public to consume, he spends an inordinate amount of time going over it and making sure that it is right. And so when I see things like this, it's like, oof, that doesn't sound right at all. I'm not a fan of what's happening right there. But again, I'm trying to corral my feelings until it comes to fruition. I'm trying to just calm down and just take it for what it is. So, once again, thanks to Baron 3121, there was a clip from, I guess it was 85. I'm going to take a guess, 85. Maybe it was a little bit later than that. Could have been 86 because I see Jerome in here dancing with what seems to be very parade-ish type of outfit. But there was an interview that was done where he's talking about Purple Rain, and the interviewers asked him about the sexism in Purple Rain, and Prince stops him and talks a little bit about Purple Rain. Talks about, well, I'm going to go, there's a little bit of a comedic intro and a little bit of comedic outro to kind of serves as good bookends for this. But the middle is what I want you guys to hear. I'm going to play this for you, but this is Prince talking about Purple Rain. And there's a couple notes that you should pay attention to. If you've been tuned in since the beginning, you've already heard this, but I'm going to play it again for those who are just joining us. So take a listen to this. This is Prince talking about Purple Rain. And it's got some pretty interesting bullet points. Take a listen.
Okay, I'll go get your Cadillac, okay?
Cadillac.
Oh, no.
I don't drive no Cadillac, all right? I used to, but I don't anymore. What it is? Next question.
A lot of people were offended by what they saw as sexism in Purple Rain.
No, wait. I didn't write Purple Rain. Someone else did. And it was a story, a fictional story, and it should be perceived that way, and nothing else. Violence is something that happens in everyday life, and we were only telling a story. And I wish it was looked at that way, but I don't think anything we did was unnecessary. Sometimes for the sake of humor, we may have went overboard, and if that was the case, then I'm sorry, but it was not the intention.
When and how did you first get the idea for Purple Rain, the movie? Did you really spend a year or so taking notes in a purple notebook, like some people have said?
Yes.
Did you ever think Purple Rain, the movie, and the album would be as big as they were?
You see these cufflinks?
Your Charles.
Oh, God.
Who's Jaws?
Your Charles.
Very good. Wonderful. Give a brother a break. I don't know.
Obviously, you can see he was really in a very loose thing. But one of the things that I found interesting about that clip, and this is probably one of the most interesting things about this clip, is that him stating very factually, I did not write Purple Rain. Now, as most Prince fans would, even casual Prince fans, people would say, if you walked up to any casual Prince fan and you said, who wrote the Purple Rain movie? And everybody would say, Prince wrote it. And while it was technically his idea, he had his ideas. He had a bunch of ideas in a quote unquote purple notebook. He had a bunch of, thought processes and things that he was wanting to do. And there were actually some very, very questionable, crazy scenes that were very intelligently cut out, very smartly cut out. Technically, the Purple Rain movie was written by Albert Magnoli and William Blinn. And a lot of people don't know this. Prince had a huge, it was his story. And so it was kind of semi-autobiographical. And obviously we've heard lots of different, twists and turns about, how he felt about crafting the film and how he wanted it to look and the storyline and everything. But technically, William Blinn and Albert Magnoli were the ones who actually wrote the story. Now, from what I hear, and I also hear some other, ramblings and whatnot, there was already a play that had already been kind of created already by Albert Magnoli. And this was kind of like a slight, from the screenplay, was actually kind of a slight adaptation of this that's happening now. But it's like some other things are happening in the mix. But the important part of this is the fact that he was like, I did not write Purple Rain, the movie. And it is a fictional story. So you have to kind of get to that point where it's like, okay, how are we going to commit to this? How are we going to, how okay are we as Prince fans to, how okay are we with as Prince fans with this being adapted too heavily? I wish I could find, I know I can find that video that I've seen, but I don't want to find it because it's going to cause a huge stir. But there was actually a video that I had seen on Twitter saying, this is it. They're underway. They're working on it. They've already got somebody playing Prince and they've already got this, that, and the other. Is what it is. I see a lot of people. Matter of fact, I see Krista Lawler right here saying, we got to remember that it was a different time. It was a different time. Understand that it was a different time. We see lots of different adaptations to different movies, like Lenny Beeson mentioned Superfly, and we see all these variants and adaptations of films, and The Little Mermaid, and How many times has that been changed? And how many times has Beauty and the Beast been changed? And how many times has, and every single time somebody does something like that and makes an adaptation, the purists are going, heck no, why are you doing this? Why is it necessary to make all these changes just to appease people's feelings? Okay, if your feelings are hurt, or you think that your feelings are going to be hurt because it's going to stay true to the source material, then don't watch it. Because there are plenty of shows on television right now that are original thoughts and original ideas, and comedy shows, I mean, stand-up comedy that is just flat out appalling, assault on the senses. It has no regard for gender, has no regard for anything. And there's stuff that's on the TV right now that is specifically designed for shock value. And that's what it's there for. And so to take something that's already been written and to change it, basically what this all boils down to is that we're just going to have to wait and see. We're just going to have to wait and see. And I see, I hear what you're saying, Krista, about it being, we just don't need it to be. When you start taking things and you start crafting it and you start changing it to appease a specific audience that probably doesn't give a crap in the first place, that people just are sitting in the sidelines just waiting for something to be upset over. That's, oh, I don't like the sexism in here. I don't like the misogyny. I don't like the violence. I don't like this, that, and the other. Then don't watch it. Watch something else. Watch something else. How about that? Watch something else. There you go. Watch something else. Because it's just pointless. It's just, I don't think that you should pander to somebody who's probably not going to give you any money anyways. I mean, it's happening with every single, I said this when we were talking about this on Friday. It's like you got all of these major corporations like Disney and Pixar and Star Wars and everybody that is doing everything in their power to make sure that they pander and they make sure that they make everybody happy. And every single time that they do it, it ends up being a box office failure. Because people are like, why was that necessary? I don't need to watch this. I don't want to watch this. I have no need to watch this. Why do I need to watch this? I don't want to watch this. This is not what I came for, so I'm not going to watch it. And all those people that you were pandering to, they're not even spending money or coming to see the show anyways. Prince fans are Prince fans because they're Prince fans. That's all there is to it. It's like, well, I would be a Prince fan if. No, they're Prince fans because they're Prince fans. That's just the reality of it. That's the reality of it. That's kind of where I kind of feel like, I don't like using the words like libertarians and you know, and the woke folks and all that. So it's not fair. I realize that everybody has feelings and whatnot, but again, if you want to create material to cater to your audience, then do that. But don't take something that is a revered source material and change it because it's something that you think you would like to see. That's just my feelings on it. I don't know. We're going to wait and see. But the reason why I played that clip was because of the fact that I found it interesting that he immediately claimed that he just was like, I'm not, I didn't write it. It's fictional. So if people are upset by violence and people are upset by sexism, people are upset by misogyny, and people are upset by some of the over the top stuff, like picking up, like Jerome picking up that girl and throwing her into the dumpster. Very horrible, horrible scene, but very funny. Funny in the context of, guess what? They're releasing movies right now that do things that are way more upsetting than that. It's, you know, if you don't like that scene, then don't include that, but don't change it. Don't change it. What do you want? That girl to come and run up and start yelling at Jerome and yelling at Morris, blah, 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 blah. And then have Morris go, I am so sorry. Let me give you a job at my company. I'm going to make you the head of marketing because I feel like I have wronged you. And this is probably better for me to be able to apologize in this way. So I'm going to give you a job, and I'm going to make sure that you are. That's just ridiculous. It's freaking ridiculous. Anyways, the movie is what the movie is. And the Broadway show, you don't have to include that kind of crazy stuff. That stuff was crazy. Yes, that stuff was over the top. I get that. You don't want to include a woman being thrown into a dumpster. Don't include that part. But for the most part, stick to the core of the story. There's plenty of things over there that you can glaze over without changing it. It's just, I don't know. Brian says, Jerome, give her my card, please. That's fantastic. Brian always has the best punchlines. Yeah, give her my card, please. Make sure that her people call my people. It's unnecessary. All right. And then, yes. And then of course we're going to close out here with, something that's just like, not like a quick closeout, but, the last topic that obviously had on here was to talk a little bit about the, court case. For those who missed the Friday broadcast, that I did, you can go to funkatopia.com/court, COURT. You can go to funkatopia.com/court. And you can see the entire court transcript or court case that is being filed from Londell McMillan and Charles Spicer against the heirs who took matters into their own hands. And very interesting to kind of see how the case played out. You know, every single time that you read a story, and for those that don't know, hey, Jaden, how are you, dear? For those that don't know what the whole court case was about, I'll give you a very, very brief synopsis in case you missed the Friday show. You can check out the Friday show. I go into detail about everything that was claimed happened on the court case. But a brief synopsis is Sharon Nelson, Brianna Nelson, who else? Alan, Sharon and Nelson being the primary folks, decided that they did not want Londell and Charles in the managing partners position over the Prince estate anymore because they didn't like the way that they were running it. So they took it upon themselves to kind of go to hire some attorneys to essentially go through the process of trying to oust them from their positions. Unfortunately for them, the contracts that have already been signed that put Londell and Charles in the positions that they are right now is Loctite. Very, very solid Loctite. You can't make changes like that without there being a majority rules scenario where you're going to be moving partners around. And so they were trying various ways to try to oust Londell and Charles. And then when that really wasn't working the way that they wanted to work, they then wanted to try to consider selling their shares over to Prince OAT, which is technically Primary Wave, which is Omar, Taika, anyways, OAT, which became Primary Wave. So that Primary Wave would actually have majority and then be able to oust them because they would actually technically have majority. And that didn't work because you can't do that. You can't sell your shares. You can't do anything again without there being a consensus that everybody agrees that it's okay. So essentially, Londell and Charles have a lot of power, and it's written into the contract that way. And it's a contract that Sharon signed. And it's unfortunate that it shook out this way, but the problem is that the other part of this contract is that Sharon is wanting to be a managing member. She wants to be a managing partner, and she wants to put all these other people into managing partners. And she wanted to, according to what the court case states, that she wanted to fire everybody at Paisley Park and put everybody that she wants in charge of Paisley Park to be able to put on her own events and be able to do her own thing there, which may have not been Prince related, whatever. But the problem is that nobody voted for that. That kind of fell flat because most people could agree that she really didn't have any type of music background. She didn't have that music business background. She doesn't have any legal background. She doesn't have any of that. So that is the crux of it, is that Sharon and the heirs and have pretty much showed their hand and are basically made it very, very evident that they want Londell and Charles out. And for a long time, I guess this was going on in the background, and they were kind of plotting their attack. And there's other crazy things that happened, like a meeting where it was supposed to be this meeting where everybody was supposed to be joining, and the heirs didn't even show up, and these attorneys that the heirs had hired showed up to the meeting instead, informing Londell and Charles that they were essentially being ousted and that we're here to vote to be ousted. And they're like, that's not how this works. This meeting is canceled and adjourned. Sorry, that's not how the whole process works. We'll talk to you later. And it's just the whole thing. I guess I don't know how it was all shaken out. But the crux of the case is that this was Londell and Charles, not necessarily suing the heirs, even though that's kind of the verbiage that's floating, but it's kind of like a case that was placed against the heirs to the courts to say, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. We can't do this right now. We have a bunch of things that are happening in 2024 for the Prince estate. We have not done anything to neglect what we've agreed we were going to be doing in this contract, as far as management, as far as all the legal stuff is concerned, as far as the releases are concerned, all those things that we have in place, all those things that we have going on, we've been doing it. So there's nothing that we are not in breach of contract. However, they are in breach of contract because they're trying to oust us, but they're not saying, hey, kick them out. They're basically, the court case just says, can you please put your foot down and tell them to stop this? Stop doing this, because they are affecting, it's making the whole Prince estate scenario look like a madhouse. It's the madhouse. It's making it look crazy, and it's making it very, very difficult for us to be able to conduct business with the other partners, with the licensing agreements that we have, with the music management partners that we have. It kind of makes things look insane. And it is insane. It looks that way because of everything that's going on. So anyways, that's the whole court case. I find that it's very, very interesting that it's kind of shaking out this way. As I have, when I did the Friday show, which was an impromptu show, because normally we do our shows on Tuesday, like I'm doing it right now. But I did a show on Friday, and kind of came to as I'm reading this court case, I'm like, it just sounds like a bunch of things that were going to be executed that were just not executed right, or just not well thought out. But as soon as I got done with that broadcast, I got not one, I got not two, I got 3 different phone calls from various folks. I won't indicate who from both sides of the story. Both sides of the contract, the case. And it's very obvious that there's other sides to the story. But the reality of it is, the way that the contracts are laid out, Londell and Charles have absolutely positively put themselves into positions of power that are very, very difficult to disconnect or to pull them out of it. So it's going to have to be, there's going to have to be something very, very, if they ever wanted that to happen, if the heirs ever really truly wanted that to happen, it's going to have to be something that is going to have to be very litigious and very egregious to put them in a position where the courts are going to be like, yeah, you guys don't need to be in there. You need to be out. It's going to be a mess. So, and let's just face it. I've said this too. I said this on Friday many times. I said, I am all about just Prince. That's it. That's it. I want the music. I want the shows. I want the concerts. I want his legacy to be represented well. Regardless of how I feel about the quality of the audio and some of the stuff that's coming out, or how the music is selected or whatever. Maybe I don't feel like maybe that's done quite the way that it should be. It doesn't matter. It's all coming. I mean, I look at what the state of, Bowie's estate, and I look at the state of, which has been fine, Michael Jackson's estate and things like that, and how they've been getting filtered out music and how their music and stuff has been coming out. And man, I tell you, Prince fans, we are spoiled because we have gotten a lot of material and a lot of stuff. Things keep coming. There's some things that I don't agree with. There's some things that I'm not happy with, and whatever. But that's me. That's just me being that's just me being greedy. So the reality of it is, if not Londell and Charles, who? Because if you look at who's in line as far as the heirs are concerned, Noreen and all those folks, Noreen, Sharon, Brianna, I don't know much about Brianna's background, but outside of being aspiring musicians, I don't know much about them as far as their music business background. So I would hope that whatever they're thinking, they would have to have somebody that they feel is a better representation or is going to do a better job than what Londell and Charles are doing. And if that's going to be the case, before y'all go doing anything, before I'd really be very interested in knowing who that is. I just don't think you have anybody. I don't know who you would think would do a better job than what they're doing right now. I just don't know what that is. You can hate on me all you want. I'm just talking about as being from the perspective of a Prince fan and what we've been receiving and how we've been getting it and how things have been, again, it may not be exactly the way that you want it, but there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on. And so I don't know that, I've heard people say, oh, let's put, I got an idea. Let's just put Primary Wave in charge of everything. I don't know if that fixes anything. It definitely fixes the volume of music that would come out because of the fact that they would have a very, very big stronghold and a very big push to get out as much content as possible. And they're going to give you everything that you want music wise. However, what does that mean for the celebrations? What does that mean for the other events that are not music related? Because Primary Wave probably doesn't give a about any of that. So I think there is a big balance. Yes, I see people mentioning names. Mitch, yep, he was in there before. I don't know what I've heard speculation about why he's gone. Alan has no interest. Love Alan to death. He is an amazing individual, but I guarantee you he has been there, done that. Alan Leeds has no interest in doing this. He is enjoying his retirement life and is just taking it in. He's done it with James Brown. He's done it with Prince. He's done everything that he needs to do. He has made his mark in the world. He is not looking at getting back involved in this. End of story. Gilbert Davidson, same thing. He's enjoying his life. I know Gilbert. I know Gilbert very well. He's a great guy. He absolutely, positively, he's been in that mix before. He absolutely is an amazing dude. But he has no interest in stepping in and doing all that stuff. He just doesn't. So all I can tell you is that you can kick folks out. Excuse me. You can kick folks out to the curb, and that may be fine and dandy for you. But you better be thinking very, very closely and dearly about who you're going to be putting in that place. And on top of that, I guarantee you may not like your decision. Trust me, I've heard all kinds of stories. About both sides. I've heard all kinds of stories about Lundell and Charles. I've heard all types of stories from the inside about the heirs. I've heard all types of stories from both sides, and there's a lot of stories that ain't pretty. It's not pretty at all. But you know what? The music industry is a fickle bee. Okay. And you guys just sit back and just kind of just take it for what it is and enjoy it for what it is, because I don't think this is a road that you guys have any interest in going down, really, to be totally honest. I just don't. What's the saying? What's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. I'll let you marinate on that for a minute. What's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. Let me just say, be careful what you wish for. I'm not saying I am not pro heirs. I am not pro Lundell and Charles. I'm only pro Prince. That's my allegiance is to Prince. And you just got to hope that what's in place is just going to, it's not like things have been horrible. It really hasn't. It really hasn't. It just hasn't. I know that a lot of people say Diana's talking about what they do release is too expensive for most people. If we're talking about like the box sets and things like that. Yeah. The box sets are a lot of money, but when you look at what the cost was for the CD version, you're talking about how many CDs were there? There were 7 CDs. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. There was like 6 or 7 CDs on there. Plus on top of that, multiple movies, Blu-ray, hardcover book, like the whole thing for like $160. I mean, most people, you get a good photo book, a good hardcover photo book, and you're already talking about $50 right there. CDs, a normal CD, if it hits the store, is going to be anywhere between $10 and $15 a piece. A Blu-ray movie is going to be about $20. So, when you look at it from what's everything that's included and what you get for it, if you can't afford that, just wait a year until somebody sells it for half that after they go, man, maybe I really don't want this. I mean, I don't need it. I think I'd rather pay my gas bill instead, and they'll sell it. Or you can get it on Spotify if you just want to listen to it. If you just want to listen to the music, they release it on Spotify the day it gets released, which is something that I've always said. You've heard me talk about. I have a big problem with that. A major problem with that. I feel like if you've got like these extended editions and all these massive unreleased material that we're paying an insane amount of money for, not insane. It's not an insane. We're paying a lot of money for it. That the casual person shouldn't be able to listen to it the day it gets released, listen to the whole thing. They don't care about the book. They don't necessarily care about the movie. They only want to hear the music. And guess what? They don't have to pay anything. It just doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. There really is, I don't know. Are there people out there who could do a better job? Obviously. Every single person in this room, there is somebody who can do your job better than you. That's the reality of it. There's nobody that is irreplaceable. Nobody. So there you go. It's being proven every day. Remember 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when we were like, eBay, nobody is going to unseat eBay. It's not going to happen. Can't happen. eBay rules the planet. And then along comes Amazon. Lisa says, my weekly request, a watch party. I would love to do a watch party. I just got to get approval to do it. I don't want to get my hand slapped. I don't like getting in trouble for anything. I just certainly don't want to be messing with the estate right now because they are in litigious mode. So they're in litigious mode. So I'm staying the course of not being messed up and twisted in that. I have nothing but love for Sharon. I got nothing but love for Noreen. I got nothing but love for everybody that's in that mix. Sometimes people get bad advice and they act on that advice and they sign themselves into situations that they probably should have had somebody a little bit more, a little bit smarter standing over his shoulder going, I wouldn't sign that if I were you. Not to say that it was a bad choice. I'm just saying that if you sign something and you find every single one of us that's in this chat room has signed something or has entered into an agreement or some type of arrangement or contractual situation where years later we're like, shit, that wasn't smart at all. Okay, why did I sign that 5-year car deal at 18%? What was I thinking? Why did I? Every single one of us has been down that road. Horizon Dream says, when the hell have they not been litigious? Well, they are attorneys, so therefore never. But that's it. If anything else comes of it, I'm sure that I'll hear about it, because I'm sure that as soon as I get off of this episode right here, I'm going to get calls. I'm going to get text messages. And so that's just how it goes. Because one of the things about being in the position that I'm in is because I do ride the line quite a bit. I balance right on that fence post, and I kind of balance both ways. I don't like to say anybody's yes, they're right or yes, they're wrong, but I just kind of have to just back away and look for a second and just say, it's not something that I control, or that it's, no matter what I say, it's not going to change anything. Then what's the point? What's the point of poking the bear? So here's what I can tell you. I love all the stuff that we've been getting. We have, I have that case that Madhouse box is sitting on has got box sets in there. Like every single box set that's been posthumously released is in there. Well, along with a couple others that couldn't fit in there. But I would love to take sides with you. no matter where you stand. I would love to be your voice. I would love to be your friend. But we have to take a step back and look at this. I mean, what are you going to do? Really, what are you going to do? Mike Constantine says, what benefit is there riding the line though? Does this give you some type of access? No. It's not about having access. It's about, I don't have access to because you've heard me say this on the show before. I've been doing this for a very long time. Matter of fact, a lot of people don't know this. You can go on to any domain site and you can look up funkatopia.com and you can take a look and see that funkatopia.com was purchased and launched in 2004. That's right. Funkatopia.com has been here for 20 years, spinning the wheels pointlessly and ineffectively 20 years. And I have not once received a bumper sticker, received a media pass to Paisley Park for any of the celebrations, barely received any acknowledgement from the estate. Barely. So there's nothing that I'm getting. There's no access that I'm getting. There's no love that I'm getting. The only love that I have gotten was from Prince when he was with us. When he would do Facebook posts about Funkatopia, when he would do Twitter posts about Funkatopia, when he would send people my way to interview when they had new releases like Andy Allo and like Liv Warfield and like Shelby J. That was the only acknowledgement and love that I got was from Prince himself. Posthumously, I don't know if it's a scenario where, because there's other people that got love for sure, but it ain't been me. So me riding the line is giving me no benefits, is giving me no access. So I always wondered myself, I always asked myself, if I just went off the rails and just started really just spouting my vile, just going off, if that would have any advantage to me. And it doesn't. It doesn't. So anyways, maybe one time the estate will allow me to come to the celebration without me having to pay for it out of my pocket. Yep, I paid for it. Every single time that you guys saw me at the celebration, I paid for it out of my pocket. I paid for my own hotel. I paid for my own transportation. I paid for my own flight. I paid for the admission to everything. I didn't get any pats on the back. Got a bunch of selfies. But I didn't get nothing. So, you're right. What is exactly riding the line getting me? I did nothing. So anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. This has been a lot of fun. Huge thank you to the one and only Maggie Keane. I am so looking forward to her latest mural, her latest Prince mural that is going mural that is going. I think I did that last episode too. The Prince mural that is going to be unveiled in East Point, Georgia, down at I think you said Brownlee Cleaners, I think is what you said, on February 3rd. And I'm looking forward to being down there. I'm going to make an effort to actually be down there. When does February 3rd fall? And is it going to be something cool like a Saturday? Oh, yes, it is going to be Saturday. Yes. So February 3rd, I will be down there to see the unveiling of this brand new Prince mural, and I will make sure that everybody sees it. You guys will all see it. I'll make sure that you see it. So we'll check that out. If you missed any of the interview, check that out as well. If you have anything to say, send some love. You can support us, support me, funkatopia.com. You can join patreon.com/funkatopia. That's REON.com/Funkatopia. If you don't want to do a monthly thing, you can also do one-time donations through Venmo at Funkatopia, at Cash App at $Funkatopia. And a lot of people are going like, what do you use that for? Well, for those of you who don't know, we have a online, well, obviously we have the website that has a bunch of servers expenses. We have this broadcast right here, which also has expenses. You have constant hardware and software updates. Plus, on top of that, we have the Funked Up app, which I might add, we are actively working on having a brand new app, which should be out and available and ready for you before the end of this month. The app is being changed. The name of it will be changed to Uptown Radio. And it's still going to be called the Funked Up app because we will have 2 radio stations, which is going to have 24/7 funk, all the stuff that you love, George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic and Earth, Wind and Fire and Ohio Players and all that stuff. Plus, we also have the 24/7 Prince radio station as well that is being renamed to Uptown Radio, and both of which, all that stuff costs money. Plus, on top of that, we also have it's all ASCAP licensed. So all the music that you're hearing, the artists are getting paid for. So the artists are getting paid when you listen to their music. So it's all legit. So that's where this stuff goes to. So if you want to know what those finances go for, that's what it is. There's a bunch of stuff. You're not buying me a root beer. You're actually supporting the actual station and the music, and paying for the music and paying the artist for us playing their music, and the shows and just everything that goes with it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate. Thank you. Purple Dove says Brownie's Cleaner is where that will be on February 3rd, which is down on 3165 Main Street in Atlanta, which is in East Point. So I'm assuming that it's going to be Atlanta. So this it's pretty cool. I will be there. I'm putting it on my calendar right now, and I hope you will be too. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. I'm your host, Mr. Christopher. This has been Funkatopia Live, and I hope you had a fantastic time, and we will see you next Tuesday. Get some rest, finish off your week and whatnot, and we will talk to you soon. God bless everyone. See you.